Hi, welcome back. It's time for the State of the Union part of my campaign update for this week. I am Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, but for right now I'm going by Susan Buchser to make it easy, on everybody. Because the other one, it's a mouthful, right? And then if you've got to write it in, that takes a while. So just Susan Buchser. But you don't have to write me in until November or maybe October, depending on if you have an early ballot or whatever might be going on. Let me open up my phone here. And where do I have it? I have it over here. So, there we go. State of the Union. Well, it's been a crazy year since, and a little bit longer since Donald Trump's been in office and whatnot. As you know, I have a lawsuit pending, so I'm still waiting for the Supreme Court to act on that. And that we can maybe move forward as a country in a good way with integrity and start taking care of the people. Now, somewhere along the line, I don't know if it's a direct link to Donald Trump or to President Trump, but I seem to maybe have the ear of somebody who has his ear. And I was sort of asked a little bit about what I was thinking for the future of our country. And first, I guess what I'm going to say is this State of the Union is probably going to go in a couple of videos. It's not going to be all in one. But so I feel that, we've been hostily taken over, as you know, this is my opinion, by the Democrats and Republicans. And I have done my utmost to separate us from them. And I hope and I think things are going to change, but I don't know when. So it's like one shoe has dropped and we're waiting for the other one. So let's wait. But I'm actively waiting. So I'm still pushing for change from this side. And I will say that the Republicans seem to be coming around to my way of thinking. And so I'm pushing it even further now. And so, the change will happen, I believe, whether or not the Supreme Court acts. But it would look good for them, actually, at this point, if they would act, so that we would know that the steps have been happening in the background and now they're done. And we can then adjust to the new situation of getting the corruption out of the election process, and then we can start taking care of you, the U.S. people. Me, the U.S. people. All of us, the U.S. people. And the people who are inside of our country. And let's start taking care of us rather than the lobbyists, rather than the Democrats and the Republicans. They have just taken all the bone, all the muscles and everything off of our bones and left us just with bones. And it's not acceptable. Not my USA. We deserve a lot better. And we're going to get it. So, it's time to give the country back to the people and not to the Democrats, Republicans, not to the top 1%, but to the people. It's enough. So that's one of the things that I wrote. Then I did say that he should feel free to talk about the changes he's brought. And I will say, he's looked a lot at my platform and is doing a lot of the things that I guess he felt comfortable doing. And like the tariff concept is, it's what I talked about already back in 2020. Europe was just, again, they were taking advantage of the U.S. in so many ways and it was unacceptable. It's a lot better. I'd like to really look at the numbers to find out what's really true, but it was worse once. And so he's already made a great deal of difference. And by adding tariffs, it doesn't mean that we stay in the same way of doing business. The tariff should trigger something that we now focus on American or US made products. And this is where we are, folks. But along with the tariffs, we need to introduce apprenticeships. We need to get our young people working, get them motivated, get small business growing, and bring real change. Because right now, again, his administration is not going all the way. They're not, using nuts and bolts to join a leg to the kneecap, and then also stitch the muscles and tendons again, and do all the operation that needs to be done. They're just cherry picking the things out of my platform, which my platform doesn't really work that way. You got to work it together. So we need to also boost economic growth through industry, through skills. And that means small businesses need to now step up and replace these things that we were buying abroad, or buying, things were coming into the country from abroad. So we need to replace those things that were coming in with work being done here in the country by you, the US people. And if you don't know what is needed, then call up the Small Business Administration. Call up your state's job board or business board and find out what is needed. What do we need in our state? What do we need in our town? Call up your county commission. So apparently, I always thought mayors had the main role in small towns, but no. There's something called a county commission, which has even more power in a lot of places. Now, mayors are still sometimes the sole leader in a county or in a town, but in a lot of cases, there's this county commission. And so you may have to go there and get your answers. But there are resources out there. There's grants out there. There's indicators of where your region might need to focus. And so, have your idea, but then go with an open mind and ask for some guidance on what's needed. And then start doing that. Because currently we do have maybe some products still coming into the country, but with the tariffs, they're a little bit more expensive. Or maybe some of the overseas companies are not charging higher prices, so that would be nice. And then the consumer here is still getting a good, reasonable price for their, whatever they're buying. But let's start taking care of our neighbors. Let's start taking care of the people down the street and buy products made in the USA. We have so much here in the USA, technically. We don't even need to go out of the country. So it's nice that we do. But the fact that we didn't ever need that, and the fact that it got so out of control that everything was being made everywhere else, but here we have now a hole in the middle of our country where people don't know how to make things. And we start an industry, but then it goes abroad because we're trying to keep it. What it is the companies are greedy. The CEOs are greedy, and they want to keep as much of the money in their pocket as possible. So they take it overseas. Our people lose a job. Overseas can make it because they don't have high cost of living that we do. They can make it at a fraction of the price. The CEO makes, tons of money, and the shareholders also make tons of money, and there's all these profits, and everybody looks like they're doing great things. But the U.S. worker is out of a job. And then they get sick, and then they're out of their life, right? So this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. The greed is unacceptable. And it's just got to stop. So, yes, things made out of the country and coming into the country will be taxed, and that profit will be used in many ways. And right now, we've got a high amount of debt. And so we're just paying interest on money that we owe others. And it's astronomical what we're paying. So with this money coming in from the tariffs, let's put down the national debt so that our dollar, instead of, for every $1, there's like a certain percentage that goes to debt, it'll be less. And then in a year from now, it'll be less. And then, yeah. So that's where we need to put the money. I'd like to send it to you and me, but we're going to do this. We're going to pay down some of the debt. Then we need to continue the tariffs. So I need Congress to work on that. And right now, there's a majority of Republicans in the Congress. So before you lose that majority, Republicans, you need to do your law so that it is in effect and it stays there. Because we need an equal footing with Europe and with a lot of the bigger Asian economies. We didn't have that before. We were basically just throwing money out the window and letting anyone who catches it have it. Like we were, Elon Musk, right? With a trillionaire. So the trick is, folks, we don't have that extra money. And somebody is paying for it, and it's the little guy. And it's time to stop that. So it's time to pay down the debt. And then we have some social programs coming up that are going to be amazing. They are going to be exactly what our country needs to move into this new millennium, this new century, with our head held high and go forward. That's what we need. So, on that note, this is the end of part 1. I wanted to stop at 10 minutes. It's now 13. So I'll see you in part 2. And if you want to look me up, it's Susan4USA.com. That's Susan, the number 4USA.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to whatever you're watching me on. Okay, take care. See you in the next video.